This is the Let's Roll Podcast with your host, Double R. Hey guys, welcome back to the Let's Roll Podcast. This is Double R. I hope y'all had a great Halloween. Y'all stay safe, ate a lot of candy, dressed up in some funky costumes, all that good stuff. I apologize for no episode on Monday, but I figured I'd take a little break. And I'm back now with the next episode. And in today's episode, we're going to discuss why I became a DJ, my experience in being a DJ, and much more. So let's start off with why I became a DJ. I've touched on this in other episodes a little bit. Basically, I became a DJ because I love music, going to parties, clubs, even bars for that matter. I never wanted to be out on the dance floor just because of my disability. I just felt unsafe because I was very low to the ground. People tend to see me because they don't look down. So in order to experience and have fun at parties and dances and stuff like that, I decided I'd be a DJ. And I also always wanted to be a mobile DJ. Or a radio DJ, I'm sorry. There were some other limitations that I had that kind of kept me from being a radio DJ. So when I was a junior in high school, I decided that I wanted to be a DJ, and I saw that they used to get a student up on the stage for the dances and use their school equipment. He would bring his tapes or CDs or whatever, play music for the dance and kind of be the DJ. Well, I found the person that was in charge, asked him, "Hey, I'd like to be the DJ," and got permission to do it. So I started DJing in high school, and then that was the year of my junior year. So that summer following my junior year, I went to my dad, asked my dad if I could buy some DJ equipment. He first said no, kind of thought it was dumb. Didn't think it was a real job or anything like that, but I basically, forced his hand, so to speak, and I got the money to go buy my equipment. So I went and bought my equipment, and I set out on the mobile road of DJing. And my first event that I did outside of school was the following year. It was it's the first event I did with my new equipment. I did do some events, my house speakers and stuff. So when I got my new DJ equipment, my first event that I did was a homecoming for not a homecoming, a prom for another school, and it was held at this resort. And my brother and a friend of mine and me went to go do the job, and my brother helps me set up all the equipment and all that. And so we're in there, we start the dance, we're jamming, and then the principal comes up and asks for the mic and tells me to turn down the music and basically makes an announcement that there was a bomb threat, and that everybody needed to leave the building. The whole single file line, orderly, don't panic, blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of panicking because I'm like, I just got my equipment and definitely don't have time to, tear it all down and get it out of there. So I had to leave the building, leave all my equipment in there. And all I could think was, my stuff is going to go up in flames. My dream has ended right here. Trying to speed up the story a little bit. Everything was fine. We went back into the building. I believe we finished the night. When everything was done, we loaded everything back up. Now, my brother was basically the roadie that not only did he carry it down, but he put all the stuff in his truck. And I was with my friend in her car behind my brother. Now, my brother had a open bed truck, so everything was in the back of his truck, but it was covered up with a tarp, tied down, just kind of protect it, and we were on our way home. Well, then it started storming or raining really, really bad. and we were following my brother on this curvy road, and there's a part of the road where it curves to the left, but it also goes straight over some railroad tracks. Well, it was, we were all tired, trying to get back home. And I guess my brother, if I remember right, my brother said that he was following the stripe on the right side of the road to kind of make sure he was staying on the road, because it was hard to see while it was raining. Well, that stripe kind of went away when he got to the part where it kind of veered off to the right and went over railroad tracks, and he was going to go to the, he was supposed to go to the left, just follow the road to the left. When that line disappeared, he realized that he was about to go straight, and he didn't want to, and he kind of turned. Well, when he turned, he missed the road. He ended up in the ditch. So the truck got stuck in the ditch. So we had to go home and call my friend's father to see if he could come out or whatever, to help get my brother's truck out of the ditch. Now, I'm thinking once again, first my equipment was going to go up in flames. Now my equipment is getting rained on. Not only is it getting rained on, but it's sitting there for anybody that was willing to stop to see what was in this truck and take whatever they wanted. So it's like, I'm just panicking. This is my first night with my brand new equipment, and all these things are going wrong. But needless to say, everything turned out okay. We got the truck unstuck, got it back home, got the stuff out of the truck, or we either got it out of the truck or we put it under a carport, just to make sure the equipment wasn't going to get soaked on or rained on any more than it already had, and everything was fine. Nothing was ruined. I think the following year, I did the same school prom again. This time it was at another resort. Got there, we set up, having a good time. Here comes the principal again. And he wants to use the mic. I handed him the mic. Well, this time he didn't come out and get the mic. What happened was there was a really bad storm. And man, this prom just had storms and all kinds of things happen to it the 2 years that I did it. But the lights got knocked out. Electricity got knocked out. So they had to stop the prom. And the only issue I had with that was that they kind of didn't want to, they kind of fought me on paying me. But, I made a point that, look, I came, I set up, I was playing, the storm knocked out the electricity. I didn't knock it out. So, what do you want me to do? I was here. I did my part. But they paid me. They went ahead and paid me. And they kind of knew they were wrong trying not to pay me. So 2 years in a row for that school was, for their prom, kind of sucked for that school. And I felt bad for them. But that was, that initial one was the first time I used my equipment. I've had a lot of experiences being a DJ, and some are good, some are bad. I want to go back to my dad for a second. My dad really didn't understand or just couldn't see the potential in me being a DJ. And I guess my only shortcoming, no pun intended here, is that I'm disabled, physically handicapped. So the only part of DJing, or at least the mobile DJ part, that I have a very hard time with, actually can't do it at all for the most part, is setting up, tearing down, loading, and unloading. So I obviously have to have somebody that's willing to come with me to do that part, to be my roadie or my grunt boy, grunt girl, whatever, just my gopher. So that's the only part of DJing that I can't do. As far as setting up the equipment, I can do some of it. Once the person gets it out on the table and stuff, then I can hook it all up, and I can even help set up and tear down a little bit. But it's the grunt work that I can't do, because physically I can't do it. So that's the only downfall for me being a mobile DJ. But my dad just did not see the potential in it. And after I had done it for a couple of years, he got his company that he worked for to hire me for a Christmas party. And so I went and did the Christmas party, and my dad was the type of person that would not compliment me to my face. He would compliment me to other people, but he wouldn't compliment me to my face. And so there was one point where I'm up there doing my thing, and my dad's down at a table with some friends or coworkers and stuff, and he kind of looks at me, and he turns to his coworker or whoever he was talking to, and said, "That's my son up there." And he goes, "He's doing a really good job." And then he turns to my mom, and he tells my mom, Rusty is up there making, which is my real name is Rusty, but I go by double R. He said he's up there making more money in one night than I did when I was a police officer and had extra jobs in 2 weeks. So he realized that it's not a bad business. You can make pretty good money. I built my DJ business on word of mouth. I didn't have a website for my DJ business until like 2007, and I'll get to that here in just a minute. But most of mine was word of mouth. People that knew me, people that had been at an event that I DJ, so on, etc., etc. So I had business cards. Obviously, I passed those out. But as far as a website, I didn't have any of that. And even on top of that, I didn't have a contract that people would sign until 2007. Most of my stuff was all verbal. Most of my money 90% of the money that I took in was cash. So I built a business just by talking to people and people seeing that I did it and people that knew I did it, so on. So I did this for a few years, pretty steady. I averaged at the most I averaged about maybe one job per month, which is not great, but it wasn't bad. Some had more jobs in 1 month than the others, but it averaged out to about one to two a month at one time, or one period of time when I was doing it. And then I kind of backed off of it because, again, the hardest part of the DJ business for me was trying to find people to help me, people that could take the time to come help me, be it getting off work or not working or whatever. So I took a break from it, and it wasn't until 2007, when I was going to get married, that I thought about DJing again. And the reason I say it wasn't because it was because of when I was going to get married is that me and my wife went, or my ex-wife now, but my wife or fiance at the time, went to a venue to book it for our wedding. And the guy that we were talking to, we said, "Hey, we want to, we want to book a DJ." And the particular guy we were talking to, he goes, "Hey, yeah, I help here at the hall, at the venue, but I'm also a DJ and I work for this DJ business or this company. And I could do your wedding, blah blah blah." And so I asked him at one point. I said, "Well, what do you charge?" And I mentioned to him, I said, "Look, I'm a mobile DJ, so don't try to rake me over the coals, because I was kind of being a little cocky about saying I'm a DJ, because to be honest with you, up until 2007, the most I charged for DJing was like $300 for 4 hours. And of course, I would charge them more if they wanted me to stay more, but my price didn't change a whole lot for up until 2007. Well, he tells me, "Oh, well, you can book me with, music, some lighting, and I think our wedding was going to be about 4 hours. So for 4 hours, about $700. I'm like, "What? $700 for real?" And he said, "Yeah," and I was just kind of blown away. And then I started thinking about it. It's like, well, hell, if he can make $700 for 4 hours, and maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for me to get back in the game and kind of, you know, kind of promote this a little bit better. So that's what I did. I got me a domain name. I got me a website. We ended up buying even newer equipment. One of the reasons we did that is because the equipment that I had was the original equipment bought back in 1988 or 89, somewhere in there. And I had used that equipment all the way up to till 2007. And one of the reasons I wanted some new equipment is because I actually booked a job where I needed to be set up in the venue where the reception was going to be and outside the venue where the wedding was going to be. So, talked my wife into it. We went and bought some new speakers and new amp and, not amp, mixer and all that. So, we slimlined it. And now I wasn't using cassettes, CDs, or even LPs for that matter. Now I was using a laptop with music on iTunes or music on my laptop on a hard drive, etc. So my equipment shrunk down a whole lot. Like, I didn't even need, at one time I used 4 6-foot tables to set up my booth around me. And that held the equipment I played the music with, along with big cases of cassettes and cases of CDs and books of CDs and whole 9 yards. So that was a big old setup, and I used that for years. But I eventually upgraded and went digital for the most of it. So in 2007 I even got newer equipment. And then I found a friend in the neighborhood I lived in. I met him when he was 8, but I got him to start helping me come with me and set up the equipment and stuff. And so he was my right-hand man for a long time. And I had one other friend that also came and helped me from time to time. And so I had 2 guys that would help me, not on a regular basis, but, if one couldn't help me, the other one could. So it kind of worked out for a while. But yeah, I started, making good money again, and I was charging more, and I added lighting, I added fog machine, I added all the little bells and whistles that most people wanted. And I did that for probably another 4 or 5 years, and then I came across an opportunity to work for a guy that was getting ready to open up a wedding venue or a wedding hall. And it was brought to his attention, or brought up, that, hey, don't you remember Rusty is a mobile DJ? And he goes, you ought to call him and see if he wants to be like the in-house DJ of the wedding hall. So he called me and asked me, and I said, oh yeah, man, that'd be great, because now I could have a place. Not only could I have a place to store my equipment, but I could store it set up. Like, it would already be ready to go. I could just roll over there, hit a switch, and we're going. And so I really liked that idea. Now, unfortunately, not everybody wanted to hire me that wanted to rent a venue. So I did have to move my equipment or take it down and then put it back up, etc. And then eventually built a booth, an actual booth, that had an open window where I could see into the hall, and all my equipment could stay in there and set up. And then even if they didn't use me, I didn't have to tear anything down. I could just leave it, set up or whatever. So, but I also ended up managing that venue. So not only was I the DJ, but I was renting it out. So I became the guy that we talked to at my wedding, for my wedding. He was booking the events, but also he's a DJ and he could, get hired too. So I became that person at the venue. I did that for about 3 years, I think. And by then, I had got a divorce. I moved back to my mom's house, which I'm so glad I'm here now, but that'll be another story. And My friend that was my right-hand man, he got married and moved and now has a kid, and so he's not even in the state. My other friend is in a whole new relationship, and he does help me from time to time. If I give him enough notice, he'll come and help me. My brother will help me too, as far as if I get a job, but I currently do not have a website anymore. Well, I do, but I just haven't worked on it. But I don't really advertise my business anymore. I've kind of taken a step back from it. And but I will DJ if people know that I DJ, and and they call me and say, "Hey, we got an event coming up," blah blah blah. And I have a little bit more criterias now. Like, for example, I won't do any residential events like at somebody's house, like a house party. I won't do house parties. It has to be at a facility like a wedding venue or hotel, maybe a restaurant that has a banquet room or something like that. Something that's going to be very, very much handicap accessible, easy to get around, easy to go to the bathroom, etc. stuff. So my preferences now are based around my disability, to where I can make sure I can get around and not have any obstacles or any problems, etc. So house parties are no more. I want to touch on a couple of negatives to DJing or being a DJ. And the negative parts have to deal with guests out of an event. Not so much customers, but guests. And I've DJed several weddings where, fights broke out between family members. I've seen a groom take his ring off and throw it at his bride because he got mad because of the way she was dancing. Food fights have broken out. Dealing with drunk people, period, sucks. Man, there's so many things that I witnessed, had to deal with, and 90% of them have to deal with drunk people. That's just the worst, and that's the only part of DJing that I really don't like. I really don't want to deal with anybody that's drunk or non-coherent or, just being, like a pain. I'm probably going to do a part 2 to this episode just because I don't want it to run too long here. And maybe some of the things that I mentioned here right at the end, I'll do like a little separate video, not separate video, but a separate podcast, or like a short story. And that reminds me to let you know that on Patreon, I am going to upload little short episodes strictly for Patreon that are short stories or little stories that I might touch upon in episodes, but tell you the full story in its own episode, but it's going to be on Patreon. So if you're interested in hearing those, you have to become a member and get access to that. So, and you can find that on our website at www.theletsrollpodcast.com. But that's a little tidbit into me being a mobile DJ, the reasons why, some of the experiences, and I'll probably touch on this in another episode. Maybe I'll get like one of the guys that used to help me come on, and we could talk about some of the stories that we dealt with and situations and stuff. So, but that being said, appreciate y'all. Again, I hope you had a good Halloween. We're going to get back on the normal schedule, so we'll have this one upload in the morning, and we'll have one upload, or we'll have an old version upload on our YouTube channel, and then Monday we'll have a brand new one. A real exciting note, keep y'all interested here. This Friday I'm going to interview one of the stars of the Netflix series, Raising Dion, so look for that. It won't be uploaded the day I interview, but it'll be coming probably sometime either next week or the following. But look for that episode. It'll be a special episode. As always, until next time, let's roll. Hey guys, Double R here, and make sure you check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, and our merch store. Follow us on all of our social media.